Okay, welcome everybody to another isolation edition of the CGA podcast. I'm here again with my man Nick Danes, as always. How you doing, Nick?
Push.
And we've got here a very special guest. We've got Wim Deputter. Did
Hello.
I get it right?
Yes, perfect.
Yes. How are you? Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for inviting me.
How you been? Have you been well?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I mean, holding up like everybody else, trying to stay active and waiting it out, I suppose. Yeah.
I think that's so important, isn't it, to try and stay as active as we can, especially for people who do jiu-jitsu and then they don't have access to their gyms and stuff at the moment. Yeah. Just staying a little bit active helps a massive deal.
Especially as a coach, we also have the obligation, I think, to be ready to start teaching right away again. Yeah. I don't have the luxury of working 6 months before I'm back to the point where I was, so I can teach again. No, I have to be ready right away when it opens.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are missing the gym and training a lot. Seems to be lots of different things happening in the jiu-jitsu world for gym owners and students, with lots more online content and people trying to practice however they can and stuff. You see some pretty good methods of continuing to train from your students, or are you putting out any content for them? Or, I mean, you've got instructionals already, haven't you? But
if I put out content, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking about it in the beginning. The first week I started doing it, and then I saw everybody else doing it, and I just asked my guys, "Look, guys, you want me to host a class every night online?" And I say, well, like from all my students, I have about 150 to 200 students. Then said, "Oh yes, please," and most, man, don't bother, because they said because we don't have a partner or no mats. And honestly speaking, I think right now you should not really be working jiu-jitsu. I think you should be working running and weights, and make sure that technique doesn't go away. You cannot do jiu-jitsu without a partner, but you can practice the weights. So it's more.
I'm doing the right thing then. I've been running. It's definitely making me feel better, but it's so hard. I'm not used to it.
Yeah.
You know what I always say? It's this. Look, weights for me is super hard because I don't like doing it. Right? I don't like it. But okay, once I'm doing it, it's quite okay. But the problem is you can have like a bad day. You don't feel like you go in, but that weight is not gonna pick itself up. You gotta do that. Whereas in jiu-jitsu, I also have days I don't feel like, but I go to the mat. And if I feel like or no, just go roll, and the guy will come to me, and you know what I mean. You can be more passive and still get your workout.
I always say you never regret it. Like you have like even if you train or like you don't fancy going to the mats and rolling afterwards, you never go, "Oh, I wish I hadn't bothered." You always go away going, "I'm glad I did something." Like I'm glad.
It's the opposite. I had in my old martial arts career, I had literally like years. I said, "Man, I'm tired of this. I don't want to do this anymore." But then the whole idea of going away and then coming back and getting beaten up by people who actually took me over, it's just unbearable. So it's like a weird addiction.
So where did you start then, Wim? When did your martial arts career start?
Well, the first introduction I had with it was probably when I was in school, maybe 7 or 8 years old, like some trial classes. And then a little bit later, when I was 9, they started a judo gym, judo classes in my hometown, like twice a week. I joined in for 10 classes, and then I stopped, went back to football, which I was still doing at that moment. And then when I was 10 and a half or so, I stopped football forever, and then I went back to judo, and that's when it kept going. And then I did judo and Japanese jiu-jitsu for about 9 years. And in the meantime, encountering other things until in the end I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and then wrestling and boxing. Said, "Okay, man, look, what the hell have I been doing?"
And thrown in there quite a lengthy professional MMA career as well.
Yeah, with a really impressive record, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you know. What I always say about MMA, it's in one way it was easier before, but in one way it's also harder. So what was easier, our opponents were easier. Yeah. Like we were more one-dimensional fight. We had Thai boxers, We had wrestlers barely in the beginning, and then some BJJ guys. But usually, like especially here in Belgium and Holland, in the beginning of my career, I found mostly Muay Thai guys, kickboxers from Holland.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And occasionally, like a lost BJJ guy who also wanted to try it.
Yeah.
So that was easier. You could still get away just with grappling mostly. Yeah. What was harder is the whole entourage. You know, it was how can I say? The whole society didn't really accept it.
Yeah.
Something considered marginal, you know, and also to get higher up. To get the context to UFC, Bellator, those things.
Yeah,
that was way less. So now I have more opportunities, but also more people doing it.
And, and more people training for specifically MMA rather than just in one discipline as well.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's tough.
Yeah, I never trained as an MMA fighter. I trained different things.
Yeah,
and then put them together as good as I could. But I never was an MMA fighter. I was a jiu-jitsu guy who could do some boxing or wrestling, who happened to fight MMA.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke to a girl yesterday who's an amateur MMA fighter in the UK, and she said something very similar. She trained in different disciplines, but now she's lucky. She's going to move to somewhere where they train MMA, so she can put it all together. But she was like the same, like different disciplines, but then I guess you never got the chance to go somewhere to train and put it all together. It's just
well, occasionally I did some trips where I did it, but also look at now it's a bit different because let's say coaches are more intelligent than before, but like in the past you could just not walk into any MMA gym and expect it to go all right, you know. Been beat a few times. If you go into a gym, it's usually the same thing, just less risk. If you go into a new gym, how is the feeling? You go there, and you cannot go all out because they will try to kill you. But you can also not do anything. So you have to, like, in this middle ground where you have to prove yourself, but you cannot tap any of the higher guys because it's for like a week or two, and then you're accepted.
You start upsetting people as soon as you go in there.
Yeah, that's right.
Sorry?
You don't want to start upsetting people as soon as you go.
No, exactly.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think these days, you know, there's a lot more money obviously in MMA, so you know, fighters are able to train and eat differently, strength and conditioning, all this other stuff comes into play, you know, as the sport becomes more elite. But that just brings much higher level skilled guys who are cross training to really high levels. You know, you now get lots of people will be, you know, jiu-jitsu black belts. They'll have pro boxing and all this stuff, and pretty much do everything. It's kind of like who's the best of all the martial arts now, rather than like, you know, MMA used to be.
You know what I think is a big danger with MMA is this, that you put high-level athletes in their own discipline against each other. Like, and now today, if you train more MMA, it's okay. But okay, I always saw it like this. Look, I was never really afraid of boxers or kickboxers because the worst that could happen is they KO you. Not healthy, but you'll survive it like once or twice before you really have damage. And a BJJ guy can break your arm, okay, and that's it. It's also not fun, but it's not the worst. But wrestlers, they really scare me because they can suplex you in your neck. And nobody used to train like that, and maybe not even today. Not everybody. Like, imagine this. Imagine you go you can be the best black belt in the world combined with the best Muay Thai person in the world, right? But then you fight like some guy from Dagestan or like a Cuban wrestler or whatever. That's scary, man. That's scary.
Yeah.
Wrestling scares me anyway. If anyone could pick me up, Wim, you know.
Sorry?
If anyone could pick me up, luckily I'm quite heavy, so.
He hasn't been. There's no one in our gym that could lift you, mate.
Building defense, right?
So that's it. Eating to defense. You know? Yeah. What about jiu-jitsu competition? Because I know you compete a lot or you have over the years competed a lot all over the place. Is that your favored type of competition always, or so while you're doing MMA, was it just like testing yourself or just doing something different? But really the jiu-jitsu is the thing that gets you going.
I'm gonna give you an answer you don't expect, right? But
Okay.
I hate competing.
That's interesting.
I dread it. But it's, oh man. Okay, this is interesting, I think. But look, as well as jiu-jitsu as MMA, I always dreaded competing because it's always a stage, and I was not ever afraid not to win, but I really hate losing. I hate losing face, let's say. So as long as you can put a good show, doesn't really matter if you lose. But but for me mostly, it's like you put yourself on the stage, everybody sees you, it's stress. You especially for MMA, it's 6 weeks at least. You live in only for that match. With BJJ, it's mostly the stress the day before or the day itself. But it's not a fun experience to compete. I mean, you have to drive it. It's usually waiting, a lot of stress, cutting weight, making this, making that. And well, now it's a bit better, but in the past, but I always imagined the whole world cares about if you win or lose. And right now I realize most people don't care. If you lose, bummer. And the only one who really cares and thinks it's true is yourself, right? Yeah. But it took a while to realize that, I really, and well, the thing is right now when I compete, it's mostly because in a way, look, if I don't compete anymore now, let's say I stop today, that will be it. I'm 38 now. I cannot just take a break for 10 years. Now I'm going to do it again. No. So the moment I stop, it will be stopping forever. That's one thing that keeps me going a bit. And also, I think life should not be too easy. I think it's like if you go to school, right? There is nobody who likes exams. Everybody hates exams, but you still have to do them. And if you do exams, then the day after you appreciate the vacation even more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like it's a chance to grow, isn't it? Like being put under that kind of pressure and doing it only makes you better or stronger. Exactly. And we would, because me and Nick, we like asking this question to our guests because I competed at blue belt, but I got injured just before I got my purple belt, and I was off for a few years. I tore my ACL, and then I haven't competed since because my knee's not quite been the same, and I've always put it off, like kind of blaming my knee. And Nick, I know, hasn't competed in a while as well. He's had issues with his back, but we kind of like, I think more so, I kind of blamed my knee, but I think it's more of me putting pressure on myself to do so well in these competitions. So we're kind of geeing ourselves up and asking these questions to our guests so that we find out. So we're going to put ourselves out there for more competitions and do it, because a couple of the guys from our clubs really inspire us because they kind of go out there and they've got the right attitude, just as you said. It's like they go out there, they compete, whether they like it or not. They'll put themselves out there kind of, bi-monthly usually, like quite often, and win, lose or draw. We always tell them, like, it doesn't matter, like no one cares. It's only yourself.
People only remember your wins in the end.
Yeah.
Well, the single persons you lost against will remember it forever, but the community overall only remembers your wins.
Yeah,
mostly.
Exactly. Yeah.
They won't remember my wins either. So.
What wins?
What wins? I got a bronze medal in 2009.
Nice.
My best achievement.
That's cool. But it's also like with competing, like if you work in a business, for example, the way you make promotion is by doing extra work, for example. In jiu-jitsu, the way you promote yourself is by competing. Now, these days with BJJ Globetrotters, you can promote yourself as an instructor as well, if you have the right system and that helps. But definitely competing it what gives you credibility. So that's all.
100%.
That's a good point. So like because some, like, 10 years ago, for example, when jiu-jitsu was kind of coming to the UK and becoming more popular, there wasn't a huge amount of gyms, but there was hardly any higher level grades in the UK, and certainly very few black belts. And I never saw a lot of like the coaches that came from abroad competing. But there was a big emphasis on encouraging the students to compete at competitions to try and grow the club's name and the brand, to try and attract more people to come to the club, by showing, winning competitions and things like that. Do you think it's still, now it seems much more, it happens a lot more often that coaches and instructors are continually competing and not worrying about if they lose or not, because that's not the main thing. But I think back then it was like, if they see the coach lose, they think, oh, this guy must not be a good teacher or good at jiu-jitsu.
To be honest, here, Belgium and Holland at least, I have the impression most coaches don't compete anymore. Or some of them, they compete, but they only compete in the Europeans, for example. And there is two ways you can look at this. Look, and I cannot say which one is which. There are still who compete. In one way, you can say it's because they're afraid to lose, and if you lose, because many local competitions, it's purple, like they put white, blue, elite. So black belts will be competing with purple, brown, and blacks, and it's likely that it's highly possible that you lose against a purple belt these days, like even a blue belt these days. So some of them don't want to disgrace the disgrace, between brackets, of losing against the lower belt, and they will stay out. There is definitely a part of that. And of course, when I'm competing and I face off against the purple or the brown black, I'm more nervous.
Yeah.
But I don't think.
Haven't you? In theory, it feels like you've got more to lose almost. Like,
but it's such, like, then you also have to think already, have to believe in the whole concept of belts. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
If you see it in football, look, there is players, and nobody says all of a sudden, you've been playing longer, you should be the better player. It's never the oldest team. There is so much more to it than just a belt, So.
We've got people in our club who are like, well, Harry's a brown belt, but when he was a blue and purple belt, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Of course. They say 10 years to black belt. Well, maybe, depending how you define a black belt. If you define it a bit being a good teacher and being like patient and balanced enough not to break people and all that, maybe 10 years. But to be an athlete who can compete with black belt, 4 or 5 years, full-time training, definitely you can do that. Okay.
Yeah.
But then the other element that can be it's also most of the time, the older you get, since it takes a while to get your black belt, it's likely you're already like around your 30s when you get your black belt. Or definitely the previous my generation. Also, we get our black belts around 30. That's the moment you get kids, you get married, you have work, you have all responsibilities. So it's not easy anymore to travel around all the time. So there's also that element to it.
Yeah.
And then the combination, because you realize now you have other responsibilities. You cannot train as before. You say, I'm not going to give this purple belt the satisfaction of can train every day. When I'm going to train 3-4 times a week. It's that also. Now, for me, like I'm training now more than ever before. I'm training not in exactly right now, but when right before Corona, I trained twice a day, every day, weekends once a day. And
how do you manage that? Because you said you're coming up to, are you 37 or 38 now?
38.
So if you're 38, because I find it difficult to train twice a day, but I think that maybe the hard sparring is probably what kills you. So I'm wondering how you manage, if you're training twice a day,
the hardest part.
Sessions.
Okay. The hardest part of training every day is getting out of your couch and going to the gym. That's the hardest part, right? And I can imagine many people fail that, especially if you have a wife or a family that's not training.
Yeah.
Because I can imagine, I'm going to speak right away from my perspective, but if you're, for example, having a 9-to-5 job and then in the evening you want to train, I can imagine there is little to none partners who are going to be accepting that you go play and roll with your friends a little bit in your pajamas every night. Not going to happen. You're going to be a fight every day. So for me, the reason to get into jiu-jitsu was one of these. If I make it my profession, then I cannot complain that I go train every day. So that's
It's a good plan. It's a good plan.
A good point. I need to stop complaining.
I'm really 100% honest about this. I always say, I always loved jiu-jitsu, but now that I have to live from it, I love it just a little bit less. Just a little. It's more stress also now.
We had this the other day as well. We had a guy who founded a mental health charity for sports, young people in sports, young professionals and athletes. And he said now what a lot of coaches in the UK for football, cricket, other sports are saying to them that you should have, because everyone when they're young, that's what they want to do for a living, for a profession. And they say you should have another sport that you enjoy. So because you're not going to love this forever, and it's your job, it's going to change, and you need something else as an outlet to enjoy and still enjoy playing as like a sport to go along with what's going to be your job.
Yeah, for me it's not true. I only enjoy this. I don't enjoy anything else. Well, I enjoy climbing, but it's not enough people I trust to hold the ropes for me. It's a problem. And I enjoy diving, but I cannot really go diving in Belgium. So when I go to Mexico, I really enjoy that. Snorkeling I really love. Diving is also love-hate, but snorkeling, it's hard here. Yeah, but in any case, how to keep doing it every day. So, well, get out of your couch, go to the gym, and then look, the way I see it, people always have the belief that we have 5 days of work days and then 2 days in the weekend to rest. Yeah. But it's a very artificial thing. No, there's not a single animal in the world that decides, now I'm going to eat 5 days and hunt and do this or whatever, and then just lay on my ass 2 days. Or lions lay on the rest every day until they eat, but it's different, you know. So I don't think we were meant to lay 2 days on our butt. I think we were meant to do moderate work every day. You know, they say we're not very good sprinters, but we're the very best endurance athletes. Right? Like compared to all the animals, we can run the longest.
Yeah.
Not hardest, but the fastest, but the longest. So what I believe, we should do moderate training every day. So I aim my training every day at 70%. That's the idea, the baseline. So in theory, every day 70%. And on some days, when I really feel like going harder, I might do 20 minutes of 90%.
Yeah.
100% is never, because 100% means you win no matter what the consequences. It means breaking your own arm and breaking your friend. It would be life or death. That's 100%. So you don't do that. But 90% means giving it your all against a equally skilled and technical person who is not likely to injure himself and you, right? Yeah. And you go as hard as you can with regard of his and your own safety.
Yeah. So how do you manage that? Do you just kind of pick and choose the right training partners for you? Because if I've got someone like Nick here trying to take my head off every day, it's gonna be hard to go 70%.
You know, like there's a few guys in the gym. I know when they go, it always turns into a war. So there's a few I know like that. So I pick those, or I just say up front, hey man, look, I'm gonna go hard today. Are you ready to do? Or how are you feeling today? You also feel it, you know, a little bit. And so I might do this 3 days a week, 20 minutes, maybe longer, but usually about 20 minutes. And the days I'm really tired, I just focus more on defense.
Yeah.
I do. I could say, okay, if I'm really, 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 really that tired, you grab whatever person. Doesn't care. I don't care if you pass or mount me. You're just gonna make sure you don't tap me. Okay. Now. So so the minimum I do is always give it 30% and just defend. But it's tough if you don't know how to do that. Yeah. So the idea is to make a very defensive game that allows you to, even when you're that tired, still go. Since day one, I've never set a round out. If I'm on the mat and I always have the rule, if they ask you, I have the rule in my gym is this rule. Every belt can ask, a white belt can ask me to roll. And there's only 2 possible answers to every question. Hey, let's roll. And the one answer is yes, let's go. Or I'm sorry, I'm already having someone, but let's go the next round. So you cannot decline a roll. That's the guideline. Still, people do it. So even if you're that tired, you still go.
Yeah.
And what I also do in the beginning, my first goal with everybody is that they're able to roll at least 1 hour. So once or twice a month, I put on the timer. So okay, usually on a Friday, today is the day, we put the timer, 1 hour, submission only. You take any partner, you roll. If you don't tap him, then you're stuck with the same partner for 1 hour.
Amazing.
And that's fun. That's very fun. It's even
fun.
easier because I have some guys in my gym. My wrestling trainer, for example, he's very strong. He's also good. If I roll with him on 6 minutes to 10 minutes, he usually beats me. Or if I try to go in an all-out fight, he will tap me for sure.
Yeah.
If I go in a more sneaky fight, then I might keep a stalemate for 10, maybe win by an advantage, if you can call that winning, or lose for the same.
I'd call it winning.
Sorry?
I'd call it winning.
But if I go like the 1 hour rounds, if I feel like around the 20-minute mark, that's when I start to gain terrain, let's say. So it's interesting to see how that does it.
There's a lot to be said for roll, like instead of sitting out rounds of a normal sparring scenario, and instead going in when you're tired and just trying to do what you can do from positions, or like you say, a mount or a core position. Try not to be tapped, but you're doing something that you might, because that's you're tired, so that's you feel like that you can do that. But you're not giving up and you're not stopping, so it's going to build endurance and help with everything. So there's a lot. I think there's a lot to be said for just not sitting out and just keep going.
Of course, And what I believe in jiu-jitsu itself as a grappling sport without strikes, right? I don't really believe there are objectively bad positions. Subjectively, yes, depending on the rules, yes. But I don't believe there are bad positions. Well, there are, of course, but it's nearly over. But I try to believe there is no bad positions, but just positions where you know what to do, and positions where you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
I can be mounted and still leading, and I can be on someone's back and still being one step behind. Understand?
Yeah, 100%.
So ultimately, there is no bad positions. Well, if your arm is like in an arm bar, if your arm is 90% stretched, then you're one mistake away from losing. And if your arm is bent, you're 2 mistakes away, and 3 and 4 and so on, right? So, but if you don't make mistakes, then, well, that's ideal, of course. If you don't make mistakes, then it doesn't matter where you start.
True. The same process for escapes and everything as well, right? You're only 2 or 3 from escaping. So yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it as well.
And by focusing on escapes, look, okay, if you need to teach someone a squat, right? Let's say, so you need to teach them the proper movement, body mechanic, the proper movement. Is it easier to teach someone a squat with or without weight? What would you think?
Without, 100%.
For sure?
I think so, yeah.
Well, yes and no, because if you start someone teaching a squat without a weight, it should be easier, right?
Yeah.
But it isn't. It isn't. You can go as deep, that's one thing. But also, okay, you can say to the person, okay, you have to squat with a straight back, but it doesn't have any feedback. So why the straight back? It doesn't feel it. But then you put 10 kilos in, it's like, and now it feels why I should not lean over. So you need to give some information, some feedback over weight, right? So if I have no weight in my neck, I can freely move. I can bend. I can do a squat with one leg bent and one leg stretched, and it will still kind of work. Same as jiu-jitsu. Look, if you do attacks, there is more freedom of movement. So you're pretty much, well, there's a few ways how you can throw a swing, for example, in boxing, right? There's only a few ways how you can do a slip. Defense, because you're stuck, forces you to do the correct thing. There's only 2 options often, or 1 option. To choose the correct one. Whereas with the attacks, there is more freedom of movement, and it's harder, I think, to do correct movement, or to learn it at least. So defense first, I think.
Yeah. So what are you? It sounds like you with all your competing, and you do some very in-depth instructionals as well. Is that something you're doing more of now as well? Looking into, I know you've done some before, and having attended your classes before in Poland at the Zen camp, I was saying, Sam, that how deep you went into the arm triangle choke, and it was like another different perspective, like from what you were saying and why, and you know what I mean. It's like a in-depth knowledge of particular positions. Are you planning on doing more instructionals out there for the public as well, or
if I'm going to put out more instructionals? Oh yeah, definitely. The question is only on which platform, like now BJ Fanatics, those instructionals, they go really well. And if they'll have me back, then I'll go and I'll make another one. Just have to think about the next team, because like right now, especially because I didn't teach for a while, right now my mount is a bit in chaos. It's a bit everywhere. So it will be hard for me to go in, how can I say, to go right away and teach a full instructional. But because now my ideas are a bit scattered. The principles are there, but my system is a bit scattered. So I need like a week or 3 of teaching to get back to become structured again, and then I could do it. But it's with instructionals, there is so many things out there. So the way to differentiate you from the rest is to give it like a good name and to give it something extra. There is so many videos, close guard this, sweep that. You have to do something extra. And the way to go extra is jiu-jitsu. Well, you can do horizontal and vertical development. You know what I mean? Like for a whole while, well, before the last 5 years, let's say, jiu-jitsu has also been developing horizontal, more techniques, more positions, more this, more that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I think that is a bit over.
I think so.
They say there's an endless amount of techniques in jiu-jitsu. I don't believe so. There's only a certain amount of ways 2 bodies can connect.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And once the connection is there, every position is the same. Then it's about weight distribution and hip movement. So I think right now the way to develop is to go more profound, more like vertical into things. That's what I'm trying to do. And the way I see, like Nick gave the example of the arm triangle, but I went very deep. Look, if you only ever go touch the surface of something, then you can never know how deep it really is.
Yeah.
But if you go deep, very deep, okay, I believe that every principle of jiu-jitsu can be extrapolated from every explanation. Understand? If I explain to the perfect detail my choke, then you should be able to use the same principles to explain a sweep from somewhere else. I can make a metaphor about it. It's like this. Imagine I have to tell you how a human body works, right? So how would you go about doing that? You would say the macro explanation would be there's a head, which is takes the decisions. There is 2 arms, 2 legs, a body, and it moves in such and such way. Good. That's the macro. That was horizontal development. And then the micro, you explain to the perfect detail how one single cell works. And once you have those 2, then the middle will fill itself up automatically. Understand?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's like kind of understanding concepts rather than specifics of, well, although it does get into specifics of techniques, but once you understand a certain amount of concepts, then you can work on the technique from those concepts. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, but it's deeper than that, because it's true. But I believe there is a set of principles that are there in every single thing you do. Principles that we use in jiu-jitsu to make it work are the exact same principles that you can use in business to convince someone to have a discussion, to convince someone if you're right or wrong. Or I even believe if you're a musician and play perfect music, or a painter, if you keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, you will come on the same to the same fundamental truths, I think, right? Yeah. And many people always say, jiu-jitsu is life, or it's the opposite. Life is jiu-jitsu. I don't know, but no matter what you do, has part of those fundamental truths, and let's say jiu-jitsu is my favorite way. It's my favorite metaphor of life to make sense of it.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Is it like as well, sort of on the same theme as that when you're because I spend lots of time trying to end up analyzing things and breaking things down as to try and make sense of the whys things. You know, why are we doing things? Why does that need to be like this? And the thing that I found that helped me was like trying to break down the tools of jiu-jitsu from like the grip here or an underhook or these things, and you find that the different combinations of the tools are in everything, and there's far fewer tools than there are like different techniques, but you're going to find you're using the same stuff, the leverage, the this, the that,
I don't believe there is many techniques. There is, look, okay, there is, okay, sweeps, for example, or positions. I believe how would you define a position in jiu-jitsu? The jiu-jitsu is like, if I tell you where is your grips, or no, a position is defined by the points of connection by both persons. Right?
Yeah.
So, but once you define the connections, then the position is defined. And once the position is defined, then both of you can be loose or tight. And then once the unit is there, it's always who controls the unit, and the control of the unit is always the same. It's always using your hips, and or it should be at least.
Yeah.
So every single sweep is the same. I think it's always the same. So either you sweep diagonal left, diagonal right, over like to your legs or over your shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
It's always, well, ideal sweeps. You can always, if you're a gorilla, you can always sweep do whatever. But ideal body movements, I don't think there is a limited amount, right? So once the connection is defined, every technique is the same. So we should not really think anymore in terms of techniques, just principles and connections. And then from every type of connection, you can specialize in one. And like half guard would be a connection that I favor, or it can be a De La Riva, or it can be whatever.
Is that something you try and kind of explain and teach to the people who just start, like your white belts?
Yes.
Like that? Because I find that when people first start, and I was probably exactly the same myself, they try and focus too much on the exact technique to try and get to an end result, rather than kind of focusing on what they're actually trying to achieve, like, or understanding what they're trying to achieve. Like you said, like the sweeps, like maybe taking away a base and pushing them one way or the other and trying to get them to that side. They think they have to do something a specific way for it to work, whereas the reality is, if they can understand the bigger picture, they can make a lot of things work for them, however it is.
Look, if you teach a technique, okay, usually the class is like this. You give a warm-up, and then you teach 3 techniques, and then you do positional rolling if you're lucky. And people never manage to pull those techniques off the first day. Never works. Because I blast them out, and of course the opponent knows what's coming, so he's going to do the exact opposite. And that's why it never works. So what I do these days, when I teach a new team to the people, let's say I'm going to teach a De La Riva today. Okay? I will tell the people, this is De La Riva, and it can be a 10-minute explanation. This and this and this can happen, and I have to stop it like this. So my first goal is how to stay in De La Riva forever.
Yeah.
Not how can I, because if I want to be good in someone, if I want to be good in something, you have to spend time into it. And if you blast out a technique, then it's not the thing it was anymore. It's already something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
yeah. So you have to spend time there. And then, what was I saying now? So the first thing would be to do some light position. The first start of a team would be light position rolling from that position. Light, and then give some progressive resistance. Some opponent who has to give some feedback, right? And then later, that would be the first day. And the next day, okay, now we have this option and this option, and try them out a few times. And now we go back to rolling. So it's lots more positional. It's always like alive, almost static teaching, because as BJJ people or BJJ, we always curse those people who Japanese jiu-jitsu. They give like a swing and they train very isolated. Punch to my face, and the person doesn't move. But it's the way how we train as well. We just have the luck. We also fight and we figure it out by ourselves. But we never train. We teach static a lot, and then we train alive, right? You should be teaching and training both alive.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah.
I think so.
So I like that. Like, because Sam does that, teaches like in a sort of similar way. Like you would, it sounds like you're going to be sticking with one position for a period of time.
Sometimes a month.
Yeah.
I try and
so allow everyone to get into the position and be comfortable in the position. Mm-hmm. You know, because I see, you know, you see it all the time. If someone just teaches a class or some techniques, and the next class is just a different position, different techniques, you're never ever gonna remember like individual.
No, it's very random, the progress, if you do it like this. Yeah, like, but for example, I was teaching about 2 months back takes, around back, right? Yeah. But then I teach. Sometimes I will teach the offense, and I will teach the exact opposite, the defense. Yeah. I will go into back attacks. So it's more or less around the same team, and I'm not doing the exact same thing every day, but just working out the concept of back around the back for like a longer time, you know.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the best. I think I started kind of instructing that way because that was how my brain would work. I couldn't just learn something straight away and then not teach something else the next week. And I found that I tend to kind of follow on a theme for about 6 weeks. So whether, like you said, kind of like back attacks or half guard or something like that, and then go through the offenses and the defenses from those certain wherever from there, and hopefully the kind of themes because obviously there are some things that with certain positions kind of will always be there. So if you're explaining that week in, week out to people, then then that should stick in their head more than the specifics of the technique. That's what I kind of liked.
Yeah,
that kind of approach.
There's almost nobody who can master more than 1 or 2 techniques on a month.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to teach 3 new techniques every day.
Yeah,
right. Exactly that. That's what I think. That's what you see a lot, though. You know, rather than like a program of, you know, what's happening, and like even like that. If you said like the first week is just about being in a position and feeling that, trying to hold the other person there in the positional sparring. You know, them trying to move, and you just finding what the issues are going to be from that position. Because people are going to do the same stuff, aren't they? Just naturally, you know.
But also when you do positional rolling, you should give the opponent the look. Okay, think about this. Look, when I do positional rolling in the beginning, you should give your opponent the opportunity to do it. Because imagine this: how if we learn a technique and we cannot even do it perfectly if our opponent gives it to us. Then we're gonna able to do it if he doesn't give it to us.
Yeah, this is it.
So in the beginning,
exactly that. Exactly.
Because what is jiu-jitsu? It's just about when you're fighting. In the beginning, you're thinking, but after a while, it goes automatic, and you just recognize what happens. Yeah. So if your partner gives it over and over and over again, and you learn to recognize and get the feeling and react to it, and you will do it also when it's resisting. Resisting is just back and forth.
Yeah. And you find it hard as well, like, because obviously you try and explain that as best as you can, but some people, because they know exactly what's going to happen in that positional spar, they resist, resist and really try and stop you from doing it, you know, straight away. And it doesn't give anyone an opportunity to feel out that technique or feel out that position.
How I learn in the beginning is always try to keep the position as long as you can. Then recognize what is the options that the other person. So they recognize his movements and how you can negate those movements. Yeah. Then afterwards, think about how you can use those movements to your advantage. And then phase 4 would be the person not given anything. How can I bait him in making those movements that I can use?
Yeah.
And then the next step is he does the same thing from his perspective. The final step is let's have a fight and play it out in real time.
Yeah.
And in the fight, they forget the position entirely.
Yeah.
In the spar, then they forget the position, and they'll never end up in Delhi or ever. Yeah. And just go.
That's true.
And what's your take on sparring then, to get the most out of sparring? Because I'm finding more and more that, you know, positional sparring is helping me develop the areas I want to develop. I was mixing that, doing a lot more positional as well as free rolling, and trying to, impose the positions I want to be in on the other guy. But positionals are great. I'm finding it really useful. Is that something you use a lot?
In periods, depends. Like when I did I started to put a lot of time into leg locks about 3 years ago, right? And then I did a lot of positional all the time, right? Let me tell it like this: if it's a position I have trouble getting to in a free roll, then I will put positional rolling for myself.
Right.
If I get there easily, then yes. Well, I do a lot of close guard position rolling, for example, because close guard these days is very hard to get to.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, right?
Yeah.
No one wants to be there. No one wants to be in somebody
No
else's
Well,
No.
I love to be there.
Really?
One of my favorite ways to start competition is top close guard. Yes.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're the first person I've ever met that said that.
Yeah, well, but it's this. And if I say it now, like it's very controversial a bit. But I like to do pressure passing from close guard top.
Right, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And the last time I spoke about it online, like I posted in the BJ Fanatic groups, I said, it doesn't work if you do it on me. I just sweep like that. Say, yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
And someone said, Roger Gracie does it as well, And then I say, yeah, but it's Roger Gracie. But it's an insult because Roger Gracie is a person with 2 legs and 2 arms like everybody else.
Yeah.
Just put a lot of time into his training.
Exactly.
And just saying, because Roger Gracie makes him some magical person without any merit from himself. And that's very unfair.
Yeah.
So if he does it, then everybody else should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
You just got to put the time and the effort into the training to be able to do it.
Yeah. But
everyone wants to be Roger Gracie, but no one wants to put the work in to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you from top close guard, do you use body locks? What kind of techniques is it your favorite passing techniques from top close guard?
He's trying to get the technique advice from you now. Is it?
There's a part of it, like on YouTube. I post one video, the King's Gambit. You see?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll put the link up with your profile as well. So I'll put all the links to all your stuff on your guest profile as well.
This is a free link, but one of my favorite ways to go to pass the mount at the close guard is to give the triangle and to go for an underpass. Another one, catch the head and walk north-south. Stack him.
Right, yeah.
I hate being swim.
What?
I hate to be stacked.
Well, stacking is only bad for the person on bottom makes himself suffer, actually.
Yeah.
Because if you relax, not so bad. The problem is that you start to push away.
Yeah.
Pushing away when stacked is like doing a squat with a bent spine.
Yeah.
Yes.
You should not do that. You just accept it and try to out of balance the guy before you.
Pushing against the load is not good for your back, right?
Sorry?
When you're in that position and then you've got load and then you're pushing away on the load.
No. Should rotate out. You should never push against that. Well, not never. There's always exceptions, but I would say never. Actually.
Yeah, and that's interesting because it's interesting hearing how you convey, your principles and ideas and concepts. Even so, it's basically the same for your white belts all the way through. The way you're teaching and explaining things is the same. Yeah,
might be in white belts that I stick more to one point, whereas in higher belts you can do more of a sequence sometimes, right? Yeah. I've never been a fan of drilling. Well,
no, me neither.
Depends how you call drilling, because micro drills I don't like it, but it's useful, like one move. But like a sequence 4, 5, 6 move in a while. Yeah. For example, takedown, Torrenda pass, armbar. It's like 3. What is the name? The 3 requirements need to be fulfilled in order for that exact sequence to work. Yeah. So that never plays out. Yeah.
I like that too. I like that kind of drilling sequence, like one move into the next, like a.
You like?
System. Yeah, I like it. Yeah.
And I never really like it. Like one move at a time, yes. But 1, 2, 3 moves, no, because I do one and then a reaction, action, reaction. And there's a rarely partners we can react properly three times in a row.
Yeah.
Struggle with one action, one movement. So I stick to one.
Yeah, one, maybe two, or build it up. You can build to 3 moves, 4 moves, but then you have to program people interacting correct. So it might be a whole class build up to a 1 4 move drill, for example.
Right. Yeah. That's interesting.
How's that? How big usually do you separate your classes into like experience, or or is it everyone mixed together and it's grades?
Everybody's allowed to come to any class, because I think there is merit for a white belt to play with. I think there is always value in training with people from different levels, right? A spastic white belt who comes in, I always roll with him because it's a self-defense training. That's how a person on the street would react. Huh?
Yeah.
It's also more dangerous. But I have fundamentals classes where I teach for the newest person in the room. And I have advanced classes where I teach for the average advanced guy in the room. Understand?
Yeah.
I don't have competitor classes, because in competitors, it's more like I'm rolling and I give them a tip here or there.
Yeah.
Oh my God, there's an ant on my leg.
Oh, that's interesting. And there's that is it. So the competitors. So have you got a few people, I'm assuming, that will compete regularly in jiu-jitsu at your gym?
I have about 150 students to 200, depends a bit. At least that was before Corona. I don't know what I'm left with.
Yeah, right.
Nobody knows, but of those competing, like I compete, like 2, like competing a lot, 3 people.
Yeah.
Competing average, every once in a while, 15 to 20 maybe. But it's always like the smallest part that competes. Most of them have competed at some point. I've tried it, but like hardcore competitors, 3. It includes me. So.
It's very rare you get them. So you don't do a competitive class or anything. Do you find that those guys are kind of self-motivated to be able to put?
They should be. If they're not self-motivated, you cannot extrinsically motivate someone to. You cannot beat someone into fighting,
That's right.
unless they're hungry but that doesn't happen here really. So no, I don't think so. But competitive class, we have 2 open mats a week, and it's sometimes more of a war because people from other gyms come in and they try to go. I mean, my guys train properly, I think.
Yeah.
But every once in a while, like on Sundays and Mondays, people from other gyms come in, then it's like a war. It's like a bit of competition training. And what I can do sometimes is do king of the mat or do like 1 minute rolls, 5 minute rolls, vary in this, but otherwise not really.
Yeah. So you have a proper open mat situation where anyone can come in from all over the place and just train with you.
Well, if it's like someone is like a real asshole and I see it, then that happened. And then let's roll. and what I usually do, I don't go hard, but when someone goes in, it's like really behaving like a dick.
Yeah.
And going berserk. Then I go with them and I put out the timer. That's the first thing. Yeah, because if it's like a heavy, fast guy, I cannot guarantee I'm gonna teach him a lesson in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Do it in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So what I do then, I try to slowly get on top, mount, and then smother them. Don't go over submission, because if you submit them, they can restart.
Yeah.
So what I do is, and I go like, I had it happen. I like a guy like, stop, I have to vomit. Yeah, no, man. No. You just went berserk for 5 minutes. You gave me 3 headbutts almost. You kicked my face. You've been an asshole here. And now you're 10 seconds in the mouth. I have to stop? Nope. And then the time, it beeps. Yeah, I don't care, it beeps. Relax. I said, relax. You're making it worse for yourself. Relax. And then I keep them their legs for 6 minutes. And then I see how they react. And then I say, okay, look, man. And I give like a calm conversation. Look, you should be calm. You should be safe. This and this and this and this. And I see how they react. And then usually how you can spot the real assholes is if they go sit on the side, rest 2 or 3 rounds, then take like a beginner and go berserk again.
Yeah.
And do a second round. And then the third round, they say, okay, man, maybe it's better if you don't train.
Yeah.
Yeah, you shouldn't be around other people if that's the way you're going to be.
Exactly.
But people either learn fast or don't come back.
Yeah.
It doesn't take weeks.
Find
1
that.
week. 1 week.
Find that a lot. Yeah, it's kind of it's a bit of a filter, isn't it? I don't think their egos can take it. If they're getting beaten up all the time, they just can't take it.
You should never, I think, beat up people who are like that, but you should like gently smother them and convince them they should go. So, man, look, you're making it worse for yourself. Just relax. Okay.
That's what was wrong with you, Nick. Should have smothered me a bit more.
Yeah, smother me. I'm very respectful. I'll just
You are
be there. Trying to defend, just trying to defend.
What happens if someone goes really crazy, and I usually give my back and let them rage a bit and go around, and then when they're tired, then they start taking back like centimeter by centimeter and crawl up the ladder, let's say.
Yeah.
I went when at the Globetrotters camp in Poland the other year. The first day, I think I rolled for like quite a long time, so like a 4-hour open mat, and then I couldn't move like the next day.
Oh, yeah.
When you're so excited to see like all those people and training, and everyone's like, "You want to roll?" And like, "Yeah, of course," And then you start thinking, "Hang on, I got to."
Especially in open mat in Globetrotters, you have to be very careful because you never know who it is. So I always feel it out like a minute before I.
There's some serious sandbaggers there as well. Like I was rolling with a guy there who's a purple belt, and you like absolutely ruined me. I was like, "How long have you been a purple belt?" He was like, "Oh, 7 years. Just haven't got." He said, "Just haven't got an instructor to grade us at the moment. So we've been, independent."
No, like this. But it also might be, look, in my gym, if someone trains for a year, but then disappears for 6 months, it's like I never trained in my head. I think every day you don't train, you lose 3 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, God, does that mean I'm going to go back to a white belt after this?
Yeah.
Well, now is an exception because everybody stopped training. Most of them. That's an exception. But look, you didn't train, so you lost an opportunity to learn that day.
Mm.
And it's not that you didn't learn; it actually got worse because you also lost some of your old knowledge because you didn't train. That's the second day, and the third day is your opponent probably was training.
Yeah.
So you lose 3 days every day you don't train. I think
that's a good motivator. Good motivator to get in there and do something. But I think sometimes it doesn't have to be that you have the hardest training session, but often I get more out of like going and doing an hour of doing some like one technique and some training, and that's better, keeping your head in the gym and training and doing things. It doesn't have to be like full on 3 hours and you feel dead tired.
No. Like if you're injured, so already just showing up is already better than laying on your couch. For me, it's also about jiu-jitsu. Is also about keeping habits.
Mm.
If you're injured and you don't come to the gym for 3 weeks, then the time you were spending in the gym before, you're going to be spent somewhere else. For example, eating French fry or eating chips in the couch, or maybe just walking, or maybe do something else. But then afterwards, you have to change that habit again. So even when I was injured, I always wanted to go to the gym and keep the habit of showing up on the mat.
Yeah. It's consistency, isn't it? It's just being there, being consistent.
Consistency. That's the word. That's exactly the word.
Yeah. What injuries have you had, Wim?
Sorry?
What injuries have you had? Have you had any serious injuries from training?
The only thing I've never injured, I think, is my. Let me think.
I like the fact that it's easier to answer what you've not injured rather than listing everything you have.
I can tell you, my only thing I never injured is my left shoulder. And that's it. And my left hip.
As a proper artist.
I injured both of my ankles, like pretty much all of my toes, my both knees at meniscus.
Yeah.
I dislocated my right clavicula. I had a hernia on my right side, my right hip. I sprained my neck a few times. So
How are your
my
fingers? How are your fingers, Wim?
Better than before.
Yeah. Looking like twiglets.
Yeah, there's some serious fingers there.
My right hand is 90% okay, and my left hand about 70%.
Yeah.
So now, if someone's going to strip your grips, you just let go and regrip.
Depends. If it's competition, no. Training mostly. Man, but if people really want to piss me off, what I have to do in the winter, right? In the winter, in the morning class, I go in, I teach, and then let's have a roll. And if they really want to piss me off, they have to break my grip in the first round, like aggressive grip break.
Yeah, the cold, the fingers
blood curling.
Yeah. In the morning when it's cold like this to get it going.
I don't want to do grip fighting the first roll.
Have you got some? Hopefully, we'll all get out of this situation at some point and be able to travel around again. Have you got yourself booked to teach on any camps or anything like that coming up?
I had Estonia, but it's not going to happen.
No.
The Zen camp is planned, and I'm going to mail Christian if I can still have place in Heidelberg. Would actually like to go if he still has space.
That's a shame about Estonia. Estonia's lovely. It's really nice there. That would have been a good one.
Yeah, but Zen camp I'm still going to do. I'm going to do this year. Well, always like depends on the corona what happens, but yeah. But that's definitely planned. Oh, man, that's the thing. Like before this coronavirus happened, I was fully booked for like 3 or 4 months. I had I had 5 camps coming up. No, 4 camps. Yeah. 4 1-week camps, and then all gone.
Oh, man. Is that part of your income as well? So does that?
Well, yes, definitely. But well, the global camps we teach for free, but we get our food, we get our stay, and the knowledge, and it's a way of. It's like my English, man. I call this. It's like
It's like subsidized training.
Yeah, it's like all your amenities, basically, everything that comes around.
It's like you meet people, you know.
Yeah, you can build. You may meet the next person. Hire you for more seminars or something like that, or
networking.
A network. It's like a convention. You know what I mean?
Nice to see. You know, the other guys that teach and stuff as well.
Yeah, also I learn, and that's good. But otherwise, yeah, it's a part of my income, yes. So yeah.
Don't know, man.
But the advantage is also right now the only food I spend right now is my mortgages and my food.
Yeah.
And we get like a grant from the government here that helps us out.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
So we're good. We're not getting rich, but I even managed to save a little bit at this point, so that's good.
Yeah, we spoke to someone the other day who's got a free website up about, it's a viral support network for the BJJ community. Seems like a really good idea. Basically, putting up, as long as your members, so if you own a club, as long as your members are still paying their subs to their club, they're putting up videos that you can access on their site for their membership fee, basically. So yeah.
Here people not paying anymore because I do like 3, 6, 10, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. People pay upfront. We don't have recurring fees. I don't like that. It's too much stress for me. And and probably like since we get a grant from the government and we're surviving and that's good, it just makes sense for me that I'm just gonna give the people back the time I didn't train. Probably what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say, look, you can come back, pay a new membership. And add time to your next membership so we can.
Right.
Yeah.
Seems fair, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Hopefully we'll be able to travel again. Like I'm gonna hold on, but I'm hoping to go to the Zen camp this October. It was so good like the other year. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like everything, the food, the situation, you're all there together. It was really good fun.
That was really good camp, In other camps, you often have to travel around to get there. I come from the hotel, walk, and this is just everything on one spot.
Yeah,
Nice.
perfect.
And other camps also, if it's like in Heidelberg or in Leuven here, it's a party town also.
Yeah.
This is the feeling you're missing out on something. But in Zen camp, you're not missing on anything. You're missing on sauna or on training. It's either
Yeah, yeah.
it's
And even if you can't train, you just go up and you can just watch as well. Like you just feel like absolutely whatever. You know, it's hard, that's the hardest thing, isn't it? Because there's so many classes that I wanted to go to, but you have to pick and choose because you can't do them all.
I try to watch everything.
I saw you there with your notebook as well.
No, I don't take notes.
Who was that? Who was writing everything down? I can't remember.
I don't know, but no, because if I take notes, it means I have to read them afterwards.
I remember.
I occasionally feel like a cool piece, but no, notes never.
I accidentally stole Prit's gi trousers one of the days that when they got put in for the wash.
Yeah.
And he put on a Facebook group saying, "Who's got my gi trousers?" And then Daniel Reed was like, "You've got them. Look, it's got Prit written on the inside." Because Prit was fasting, like he's doing a 7-day fast. Like
while training.
Yeah.
He was really brave. He didn't eat for 7 days, just water and salt.
He never looks very happy at the best of times, but he looks very miserable.
Man, I think things considered, I think he looked great. He was still rolling, man, after a week.
He's still rolling, like had no food. Yeah, that guy is a machine.
Yeah.
He must be a secret eater, that guy. He's got to be.
Sorry?
He's got to be a secret eater, I reckon, to be able to keep up rolling with no food.
No, I think you can do that. I think it's going to be hard for 3 days, I heard, and then it gets easier.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
he's strong as well, Prit. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
It was. I rolled with him, and I couldn't do anything.
Oh, he's very good. He's very good. He's very good.
Yeah. Awesome.
Wow, that's brilliant. Awesome. Thanks, Wim. So, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh, welcome, man. Welcome.
Thank you for giving us a bit of your time, and we'll hopefully catch up again. So, you know, if you want to come on again, that'd be great to have you back.
Definitely, man. That's my life now. So training a bit, eating, playing with my baby,
nice.
my girl, spending time with my wife, and podcasts.
Brilliant.
We'll put all the links up for Instagram, Facebook, Club, Wim Deputter, Brasa, and so we'll all that will be up on the CGA podcast website, cgapodcast.co.uk. So this will probably be going out next week, but I'll pop your guest stuff up there so you can check it out on online as well. And we'll tag you in, Wim, as well when we post it out, and then you can share and try and get people to have a look. That'd be great.
And when we come out of this, when we come out of this COVID situation, we'll try and make a visit to you, Wim, because
of course, always
one of our
welcome.
plans is to try and travel a bit more and come and see the guys that we meet. You know,
I'll show you the place here. See, this is the gym. See?
Oh my God! Yeah, we're in.
Yeah.
Here's the gym, and then the fitness, and then the bar in front, and we have the garden in the back here. See?
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll definitely make a trip.
Yeah,
awesome.
We're not far, and we can go on the car across and just drive.
Yeah.
It's nearby. You can get here to the channel, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's easy. Perfect. Always welcome.
Thank you very much, Wim.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.